to tonight's coverage of the BTDY Racing League Chase for the BTDY Cup. There's no place like home here at the Kansas Speedway for race 1. Colorado stays bottom, he slides up into 1. He comes back up the track and he gets clobbered. Here comes Loveland to the inside. Jeff Wright will come home and he'll win the race and win his winner of the playoffs at the Kansas Speedway.
Well, good evening, race fans. It is Tuesday night, which means once again it is BTDY night in America. Tonight we head to the Last Great Colosseum, Bristol Motor Speedway for the KULLY Pipe and Steel Supply 225. We head here for the penultimate race of the FloridaSkinDoctor.com Racing Series. Winding down the season, getting to the end of this, we've got a heavyweight championship fight on our hands. And we head to what could be deemed yet another wild card race. This racing here at Bristol tends to get a little bit crazy at times. Got trouble lurking around every corner. We're going to be bringing you all the action tonight right here on VSPEED. Thank you for tuning in and spending your Tuesday evening with us. My name's Daniel Cunningham. Up here in the booth with me, as always, Lucas Lyons running production and co-commentating. Lucas, you know how much I love Bristol. You know that this ranks right up there with Darlington as far as my favorite tracks on iRacing. I could run this place every single week, never get tired of it. So I'm definitely excited for this one. How you feeling about this race this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I think the multi-lanes with saving tires on the bottom and trying to get a good run out of turns 2 and turn 4 on the top side will be really beneficial if you're trying to use that short run. Really going to be interested to see where the drivers decide they're going to run throughout this race, but BTDY has put on good races so far. Let's see if they can put on another one.
Indeed they have. Just since we've been on these broadcasts, we have seen quite a few just really awesome finishes, a lot of great racing. It's honestly a shame that we're getting down to the end of this season because of how great the racing has been. And, you know, one thing you talked about at the multi-groove, typically it seems like the bottom over the long run is faster here at Bristol, but as we'll touch on a little bit later, we always run those custom setups at the non-drafting ovals. So we'll see how that moves the line around as we've seen in a couple other tracks this season. But we talked about that points battle in the intro there. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Your two big hitters on the season, Bailey Turner, Brody Hayes, they've combined to win 10 races out of the 19, well, really 18 up to this point, race 19 tonight. They've been the class of the field for the majority of the season. Just 4 points between them. Chris Simard still mathematically in at 23 points back. Going to need a little bit of help to be able to get up there and really mount a challenge. Same with guys like Eric Hutton, Michael Robinson, pretty much on back a fifth, maybe still mathematically in it, depending on just how many drivers that we have show up. But for the most part, it's a two-horse race in all reality. And then looking back at that best of the rest, that battle for 13th, Dennis Faircloth with a pretty commanding lead on that battle. He's 27 points up on James Loveland, 32 on Cody Adkins, 49 on Alan Dice. So really, Dennis just needs to go out and have a couple solid nights, and he will have free entry into the next BTDY season for his efforts with that.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Daniel, for that Chase championship, the two drivers, Bailey Turner and Brody Hayes, the two we constantly talk about week in and week out, commanding lead. And Dennis Faircloth actually giving up his number 80 to Rob Liedl. Daniel, why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this was something that Dennis let us know about earlier, or let me know about earlier this evening. So really classy move out of Dennis. Rob Lidl had been running the 080 all season. Some family ties to that number with a family member that used to run that. So Dennis actually gave up his number 80, still listed as 80 there on the point standing sheet for now, but he actually gave up that number. He's running the number 83 now, so new number for him this week. And yeah, just shout out to Dennis. I think it's a really classy move to let somebody that's got the sentimental attachment to that number have that. So definitely wanted to shout him out for that this evening, and just something to keep an eye on as you see these drivers out on the track. But speaking of the track, Lucas, you touched on it a little bit already with Bristol Motor Speedway. So why don't you tell the fans that are watching at home a little bit about this place?
Yeah, so Bristol Motor Speedway, located in none other than Bristol, Tennessee, is a little bit over half a mile in length at 0.53 miles, 30 degrees of banking in the turns, 5 degrees of banking in the front stretch, and opened up July 30th in 1960. And I want to say this is where, was it Darrell Waltrip who had that scary wreck with how the safer barrier opened up for the semi-trailers to get in, and then NASCAR renovated it to what is now the NASCAR standard of that safer barrier. So going on to the race analysis, race length will be 225 laps with a competition caution at lap 30 with a pit road speed of 30 miles an hour. 5 tire sets available to the drivers, 3 green white checkered attempts, 80% fuel, which is about 115 laps to 130. But Daniel, I think the drivers are going to want tires before they even get to that point.
Yeah, I think you are right on that as well. And real quick, Lucas, you were close. It's Michael Waltrip was the one that had that wreck there, but I mean, that was a little bit before your time. So we'll give you a pass on that. There's
we're both from Owensboro, okay? I'm blaming the Owensboro education.
Yeah, potato, tomato, close enough. It was one of the Waltrip brothers. You got that much right. And then there was also another one back more recently. I think it was around like 2003, 4, somewhere in that area. Believe it was Mike Harmon was the one that had a very similar wreck that basically sawed the car in half. So big wrecks have happened here quite a few times in real life. But folks, we have a pole award to hand out. These drivers have completed their qualifying laps, and starting on the pole here this evening for this race at Bristol is none other than Bailey Turner in the 24 with his main championship rival, Brody Hayes, starting in P2 on the front row. You know, you can't really write it any better than that. Cream rising to the top here late in the going. Second row is going to be Eric Hutton starting in third with Keith Maiato rolling off in the number 4 position. Starting in fifth, another one of our championship contenders, Chris Samard in that 77 with Ray Massey starting in 6th this evening. Rolling off in 7th, that new number, the 83 of Dennis Faircloth with James Loveland to his outside in 8th. And then rounding out your top 10 here this evening is going to be Ryan Gemmel in the 6th with Alan Dice in that final spot in the top 10 in that 5 car.
Starting right outside of the top 10, you have the 25 of Paul Hahn, and starting to his outside, the 55 of Cody Atkins. Starting 13th tonight, the 46 of Dallas Sullivan, and the 13 starting to his outside of Jake Mockey, starting in 14. Starting 15th, we have the 15 of Christian Blackwell, and starting 16th, the new number given to him by Dennis Faircloth, deciding not to take a time, Rob Lidl. And rounding out our field here tonight in 17th position, the 29 of Michael Robinson, also deciding not to take a time.
And that is your starting lineup for this evening here at Bristol Motor Speedway. The drivers rolling off for the first of their 2 pace laps. And I'm really interested to see here early on. It is a fairly short run, just 30 laps at most before we'll get that competition caution. So I'm really curious to see, how do these drivers approach it? Do you go out and just say, all right, we're just going to go out and burn them down, see what the tire wear looks like, because you'll get that reset? Do you think these guys might be a little bit cautious here early on and just try to log some laps, basically? So be interesting to see the difference in strategy as they get the 1 to green here.
Daniel, I think you know my opinion. If it's only a 30-lap run, you're going to run balls out, all on the wall. Try to get as much as you can out of these tires and just kind of monitor your wear. Run hard for 30 laps, see what the wear is, and then you can kind of take that account later on.
Well, one thing about it, Lucas, I've never known you to drive any other way than the way you just mentioned. So, you know what? Screw it. That'd be my opinion tonight, too. I'd say just go all out, see what you got. But we're about to see what these drivers have. The 2 championship leaders on the front row. Green flag is out here at Bristol Motor Speedway. They are side by side for the lead as they head down into turn number 1. But already on the start of the race, the 37 of Brody Hayes is showing a black flag. Would have to think that is for a start violation. It looks like they actually did opt to clear that. I believe the 24 of Bailey Turner actually stating that it wasn't on Brody Hayes there. So they are going to be free to battle it out, and they are 1 and 2 right now for the lead.
Yeah, looking a little bit further back for the battle of 5th position, a battle between Chris Samard and Ray Massey. Ray Massey's in that top lane, and you got Chris Samard running the bottom with Dennis Fairclough right behind him.
Yeah, you could really see the difference in lines there between the 77 and the 23. You know what? We got Dennis Fairclough there in the 83. What do you say? I know it's early, but what do you say we take a quick onboard here with them, Lucas, so we can really see the difference in how these 2 drivers are running? And actually hold that thought. Caution flag is out on the track. Looks like the 15 of Christian Blackwell was involved in that. And yeah, he is on pit road. Looked like a pretty substantial hit there. To go back and take a look on the VSPEED instant replay to see what exactly happened here. Oh, you can see it looked like, yeah, that was the 46 of Dallas Sullivan that got loose in front of him. But then after that, man, just kind of on his own there for the 15 of Christian Blackwell, and it just got loose and down the track into Dallas Sullivan.
Yeah, riding on board here, and that's exactly what happens. I can't say from an ARCA perspective, since it's so new and I haven't had time to actually log some laps with the ARCA car, but in the trucks, it does get really loose on entry and exit, but in the center, you can kind of use that looseness going into the corner to help you in the center, and that's what looks like what happened to Christian Blackwell. Just got loose into the entry of the corner and wasn't able to save it.
Yeah, unfortunate early on here. A few drivers on pit road. Rob Liedl did get a piece of that as well. So saw there. So he's on pit road, as is Christian Blackwell. 29 of Michael Robinson also on pit road here. I think he had a little bit of contact earlier, getting some damage fixed. And, one thing we haven't touched on or talked about yet is the pit road here at Bristol. And, some people watching at home may be saying, well, what's so important about the pit road? We're not unfamiliar with it. If you watch NASCAR in real life, you know that they have kind of an odd procedure here at Bristol. So it's 2 pit roads under green, but under caution, it's 1 pit road where you enter off of turn number 2. You follow it the whole way around. So you would enter right about there where they're at on the back straightaway. You follow it all the way around, and then you exit off of turn 1 on the other side. But iRacing does not have that programmed in. It's either 1 pit road or 2 pit roads all the time. So tonight, they are using the single pit road setup. So every time you pit, whether it's under caution or green, you've got to enter on that back straightaway, basically pretend it's a big pit road the whole way around through 3 and 4 and exit on the front straightaway. So what makes that important is it makes it kind of difficult if you're coming down pit road under caution to get damage fixed. So something that those drivers that did get a little dinged up here early on will be fighting as we continue throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah, there's that. And with green flag pit stops as well, Daniel, instead of going the normal 2 to 3 laps down, you're looking at upwards of maybe 6 laps down just because of how long the pit road is, because you have to go down both pit roads.
Yeah, that is another factor if we do get to that point. But for now, cars are in the restart zone. Bailey Turner electing to take the high lane here on this restart. Gets a nice jump there on Brody Hayes, able to clear down in front of him. But for the from third place, rather, on back, that is Keith Mayato and Eric Hutton. They are battling for position, and a lot of side-by-side here early on as we get fired back off under green.
Yeah, right now, looks like Eric Hutton's falling back into the reins of Chris Samard as of now. Drops down in front of Chris, makes a little bit of contact with Chris's nose, and that's going to give the run to Dennis Fairclough up on the top side. And it looks like Dennis Fairclough is going to get cleared down to the bottom as they start to single file out here.
Yeah, we've actually got a battle for the lead right now. Brody Hayes, Bailey Turner, they have been side by side for the last couple of laps here. Turner really working that high lane, trying to make that momentum off the turn. Seems like the two grooves are really even right now, which is honestly what you like to see. Taking a look here from the front bumper cam of our third place driver, Keith Mayato. And, you know, it's a good thing that this isn't real life, because that bumper cam would be expensive and it probably wouldn't make it to the end of the race, all things considered. They have a tendency to get knocked out a little bit early, but you could really see two pretty different lines. Brody Hayes kind of entering on the bottom, kind of wrapping that yellow line the whole way around. But Bailey Turner taking a little bit of a higher exit, driving down off the banking as they get through the center of the turn. So that's one of the things I love about this track so much, is it just gives you different lines that you can utilize. It gives you different options to try to work your way through. As the 83 of Fairclough is around. Caution is out for the second time here on lap 17. Let's take a quick look and see what happened on the VSPEED instant replay. And yeah, no help. I don't believe he hit anything though, so nice job to keep it off the wall there for Dennis Fairclough. Just gets a little bit loose there on that bottom groove, and just around she went. But really fortunate for Dennis to not hit anything, not get into the wall, and able to continue on with no damage there.
Yeah, that's definitely going to play a big factor into this race for Dennis Fairclough, because now he's going to work through the field, as there's a bunch of drivers on pit road right now, and I think that is going to be our competition caution, and that's going to give the lead actually to Dennis Fairclough, the person who brought out that caution.
Yeah, and you are correct. So with the way that they had set this up, if there was a caution anytime after lap 10, that would serve as the comp caution. So a lot of drivers electing to go ahead and come down pit road, and it looks like they are indeed going to go ahead and take tires here for the most part. Yeah, it looks like everybody is going to take tires, but Dennis Fairclough opting to stay out on the racetrack. You don't have to come down and pit when the caution comes out, but looks like now he may actually be hitting pit road. So got to wonder if maybe it was just a matter of might have missed the pit entry. I know I've done that here more than my fair share of times, especially with the single pit road. Sometimes you just, if you're like me, sometimes the ADHD kicks in, you forget where you're supposed to enter at. Not saying that's what happened with Dennis, just from my own personal experience there.
Well, it's also, Daniel, with how short these laps are, you do get discombobulated with where you're actually supposed to enter, with how many laps drivers put down here, and it's very easy to lose track of the actual side that you're supposed to go down pit road and not get a penalty because we're running that one long pit road.
Lucas, did you just use discombobulated on the broadcast?
I did. I would like to thank Sherlock Holmes for that word.
I was wondering if maybe you had like that Kevin Harvick thing going on where somebody suggested a word that you used during the broadcast. But hey, you used it correctly too. I'm proud of you. So,
You
yeah,
know,
good job, Lucas.
that's not a bad idea. If anyone would like me to use a word in the broadcast, shoot me a message and I will try to form it.
A G-rated word. A
A,
G-rated word. We
a
need to make sure that we specify that.
rated E for everybody.
Oh, Lord. God only knows what we may have just started. But I'll tell you what else we're getting ready to start, or rather restart. We're getting ready to restart this race. Pace car has pulled down pit road. Field in control of Bailey Turner gets another really good jump, electing to take that high lane. And Eric Hutton actually trying to follow through for second place now. Good side-by-side battle already between himself and the 37 there, Brody Hayes. Sorry, lost my concentration a little bit there. There was a little bit of contact further back between the 29 of Michael Robinson and the 80 of Rob Liedl, but everybody able to get it gathered up and continue on. So no cautions, everybody still running. And up front, we got another really good battle here as Keith Mayato trying to take that third place now from Eric Hutton.
Yeah, Brody Hayes was able to get by Eric Hutton, and now you get a good visual of these two lanes at work here with Keith Mayato on that bottom, wrapping it really, really well. And then you have Eric Hutton a lane above him, getting a good run onto the back and front straightaway, getting the advantage into the corner, with Keith getting the advantage in the center of the corner. And now Eric Hutton's able to get clear of Keith Mayato and slide down.
Yeah, really good job there of Eric Hutton to be able to use that top groove, get the momentum. A little bit further back, this is a battle between Ryan Gemmel, James Loveland, and Alan Dice here at the back portion of the top 10. Alan Dice in that last spot in the top 10, trying to move his way forward. There's contact. The 02 is involved. The 5 is involved. Oh, the 25 of Paul Hahn did a nice job of missing that, but Dallas Sullivan got a big piece of that as well. Caution is out yet again, and I think we can call this one broadcaster curse. Just as I'm talking about him, you can see the 2 car there making contact, the 02 car rather, and the 5 making some contact. The 02 of James Loveland definitely getting the worst of it there. Should give us a pretty good view here. See Alan Dice up on that high lane, trying to complete that pass on James Loveland. This is where the contact happens, and yeah, Alan Dice in that 5 car just comes down off the wall a little bit farther than probably what the 02 expected there. And I believe Alan actually went ahead and claimed that caution and given himself the EOL for that. And then Dallas Sullivan just along for the ride, kind of an innocent bystander there, just nowhere for him to go. But yeah, the 02 of James Loveland definitely getting the worst of that, actually showing a meatball flag now. And you can see there, that car was just tore all to pieces. Jake Maki in the 13 getting a piece of it as well.
Yeah, it looks like the 5 of Alan Dice got a little bit loose out of turn 2 from what I saw. You saw that minor wheel correction coming out of turn 2, and James had nowhere to go and just got up into the 5 of Alan Dice, and contact was made, and unfortunate for all the other drivers that was sadly involved.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate, but yeah, that is the danger of Bristol Motor Speedway. Just with as tight as the racing is, as quick as things happen here, it's really easy to get in those situations and have things like that happen. But up front, so far, it has been all Bailey Turner, all Brody Hayes here in the early going. As we get the 1 to green here, Bailey Turner actually going to take the bottom side on this restart. A little surprised after he had taken the top on the last few. Probably going to try to give his teammate Eric Hutton there a little bit of a countdown, see if maybe he can get up there and get around the 37. We'll be going back green here in just a moment to see if they do indeed try to get that teammate game working. You've also got the VSPEED teammates up there on the top row. Pace car is off as they approach that restart zone. Green flag is out. Another good jump there for Bailey Turner. He's able to clear for the lead. Eric Hutton not quite able to get the power down maybe the way he anticipated. Not going to be able to get up there alongside Brody Hayes for second.
But with Eric Hutton, he has Keith Mayato right behind him, breathing down his neck. And then Cody Atkins trying to rally right now. Fifth place right now, so triple fives for Cody Atkins, running the 55 in fifth place.
Yeah, I'm almost afraid to mention Cody Atkins by name at this point because he's had enough problems with bad luck earlier on in the season without me putting the broadcaster curse on him. So in the sake of saving his sanity, let's talk about something a little bit different. Right behind him, you've got the 77 of Chris Samard, another one of those VSPEED drivers, just kind of a quiet night so far. Started in fifth, currently running in sixth. Really the third of our championship contenders. A little bit further back, you've got Dennis Faircloth trying to rebound from that earlier spin. Ryan Gemmel there in the 6 car just behind him. Dennis doing a nice job working his way back up through the field here. And yeah, I mean, he came down pit road there a little bit later than everybody else, restarted at the back, and already gained quite a few spots from it. So good recovery so far for that 83 car.
Well, it's like what you're seeing with Dennis is when he wants to make a pass, he goes up to the top, and when he completes that pass, he's doing exactly what he does there, going down the bottom. Now we're to the inside of Chris Samard. Chris forcing him really, really tight and honest to that bottom line. As we got a wreck in the back.
Oh, that's Michael Robinson in the 29. Paul Hahn in the 25. Also destroyed in that whole front end of the car, actually missing there. I think that may have been just a secondary reaction kind of thing from what happened with the original spin. But take a look on the replay, and oh, that's, yeah, that was kind of hard to tell from that angle which one of them may have moved first. It looked like maybe the 25 got a little bit loose and came down the track, maybe trying to correct there. Just riding on board with that 25 of Paul Hahn. And oh yeah, you can kind of see it there. The back end just starts to step out just a little bit. Kind of similar to what we saw with Dennis Faircloth's self-spin earlier. But yeah, 29 of Michael Robinson, just wrong place, wrong time there on the inside with that.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough break for Michael Robinson, hitting the inside wall. If he would have went a little bit further before that contact was made, he might have been able to avoid a little bit more damage, but tough break for both of those drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is going to put us under our 4th caution of the evening here so far, working lap number 41. Had 2 lead changes so far. I think those were both actually under the caution when Dennis Faircloth had stayed out that extra lap. Otherwise, it's been all 24 up at the front here early on. You know, it seems like once they get rolling for a few laps that 37 of Brody Hayes can kind of get up there and start putting a little bit of pressure on him. But so far, we just haven't really had that long green flag run to really see what they have over the course of a few laps here. Yeah,
hopefully we can see which driver has a better long run and the drivers settle down a little bit and just try to keep it together. I know the BTDY admins put a lot of work into this setup and try to put on good racing. Just seems like drivers are struggling with the looseness of the rear end giving out on them in corner entry and exit right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be a bit of a struggle right now on that aspect. So we'll see what they're able to do with it here as we get the 1 to green. Bailey Turner, again, going to take that bottom groove in front of his teammate as he did on the last restart. Car that I'm curious to watch, though, is going to be that 3rd car in line on the top, that 83 of Dennis Faircloth. He's been making that top groove work probably better than really anybody else that we've seen so far. I mean, he's been able to go up there, really make some time. And now that he's gotten some track position back, Be curious to see if he can really get up there and try to work his way up, maybe into the podium, or maybe even give it a shot for the lead here.
Yeah, coming to the restart, Bailey Turner is going to lead his teammate Eric Hutt on the bottom lane, and green flag is back out, and Bailey Turner gets a good jump, but so does Brody Hayes in that top lane.
Yeah, Brody Hayes now trying to get clear of Eric Hutton for that number 2 position, is able to do so. Top 4 now, single file, but just as we kind of mentioned, actually caution out here, go ahead and hold that thought. The 77 of Chris Samard is around. And man, I did not see what happened to him. He was running up there pretty well before that. Yeah, I think he got inside of the 46 of Dallas Sullivan there and maybe just overdrove it just a little bit, and contact between the two of them. I'm not even sure how Chris got back there, to be honest. He had been running up near the front, at least near the top 5, and yeah, just gets in a little bit too hot, gets into the 46 of Dallas Sullivan. Looked like the 29 of Michael Robinson as well got a pretty big piece of that yet again here this evening. Just kind of wrong place, wrong time yet again for the 29 car.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough break, and as of right now, it's showing Michael Robinson out of the race. So, really tough break for Michael Robinson so far here tonight.
Indeed, a tough break for him. That's going to put us under our 5th caution flag of the evening. A little bit of a rough start here. Not really had quite the flow or the momentum to it that we're used to seeing out of these BTDY races. But you know, that's kind of the nature of the beast here at Bristol. It seems like you have a tendency to get quite a few cautions kind of bunched up and clustered together. But one of the things with this place is it seems like once you get rolling for a few laps, you can really click off quite a few of them in a row and get a pretty long green flag run in.
Yeah, it's definitely the case here with how short this track is. Just drivers need to start. I don't know. I lost my train of thought, Daniel. I'm gonna be honest.
You'll have that from time to time. So, you know, one thing that I was getting ready to mention before that last caution came out is this battle. You know, we've been talking about this battle between Bailey Turner, Brody Hayes. It's just what a great battle it's been. I mean, Brody Hayes jumped out to a pretty big lead in the points in this championship chase. Thought he was going to be able to kind of take control of it early, but then ran into trouble at a couple races in a row. You know, ran into trouble at Iowa and Michigan, and then Bailey Turner has been able to capitalize on that and take the lead back in this championship battle. And it kind of just, it's given me throwback vibes to some of these great chase battles that we had in real life NASCAR. You know, you had Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart back in 2011. You had, you know, before that, you had Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson in 2010 was another really good one. Even Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson in 2012 was another just heavyweight battle. And seeing that here in iRacing as well. So, kudos to these two drivers. We're getting ready to go back green here as we get ready to take the green for lap number 50. Another good jump for that 24 of Bailey Turner, but Brody Hayes staying a lot closer on this restart. So see if he can get up there and do anything with it. But back behind them from 3rd on back to about 6th, the battle for position is on between those drivers.
Yeah, right now a battle between Dennis Faircloth and Keith Maiato. Now looking a little bit more up front. Eric Hutton looking to the inside. Brody Hayes almost makes contact, but not. Now Eric Hutton still looking to the inside, still side by side, almost to his right rear. Brody Hayes is going to get clear, and the drivers are going to start the single file out as Cody Atkins is running that top lane.
Yeah, Dennis Faircloth now up into that number 4 position. Cody Atkins really the only driver that's kind of venturing up into that top groove. But there is one driver just a few positions back, and that's Dallas Sullivan in the 46. He's trying to make that top groove work. Been caught up in a couple of early accidents here. But yeah, so far on the comeback trail, trying to make some of that ground back up. See if Sullivan can work his way further into the top 10. Cody Atkins, though, he's really trying to get that top groove rolling. It just seems like right now it's just a little bit too difficult to complete the pass up there. It just takes so many laps to get the momentum built up and be able to work your way around. But doing a really nice job up on that high groove. Actually able to get around Dennis Faircloth there for the 4th position. So put Cody Atkins up to 4th. And looks like we've got a caution out on the track. Didn't quite see what happened there. Oh, that is the 80 of Rob Liedl that has brought out the caution here. And yeah, just gets loose on his own on corner exit, loops it around, and that is going to go ahead and bring out the 6th caution of the evening here. But while we have a moment, let's let you hear from some of our great league sponsors that we have with BTDY. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you to bring you the restart here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We are back here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and just taking a look here, don't see any takers on pit road. Actually, we do have one taker on pit road under this caution. It's going to be the 5 of Alan Dice opting to come down pit road, probably getting some damage fixed from that earlier incident that he had, topping off with fuel. Still outside of the fuel window to even try to think about making it to the end if it did run green from here, but should be getting the 1 to green this time by. And so far it has been all Bailey Turner up front.
Yeah, but Brody Hayes has been on his trail for the laps that we've been able to run under green. So if Brody Hayes can get a few green flag laps and it go green for a good bit, it's going to be really interesting to see what Brody Hayes can do on that long run.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if we can get some laps clicked off here, if that 37 will be able to get up there and put a little bit of pressure on the 24 of Bailey Turner. So pace car is going to make that left-hand turn down onto pit road this time. Getting ready to go back green here yet again at Bristol Motor Speedway. Good jump again for Bailey Turner. He's able to clear side by side for second, though, with Eric Hutton and Brody Hayes. And then a little bit of a gap back to the rest of the field. But the top 3 right now, all kind of under a blanket. Brody Hayes rather, in the 37, trying to hang on to that number 2 spot.
Yeah, that was definitely the best restart out of the 88 of Eric Hutton, to really put the pressure on to Brody Hayes on that restart with his teammate Bailey Turner giving him a good countdown. But Brody Hayes was able to get clear, and now 1st, 2nd, and 3rd all running single file.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen sometimes when you got teammates that are working together, as opposed to what you and I normally do, where we just say, hey, how can we mess with each other out on track as much as humanly possible? So the power of teamwork right there between Turner and Hutton working out for him. But a little bit further back, you've got Dennis Faircloth there up in that 5th position, trying to still roll that top groove. One of the drivers that we've really seen try to get that to work, kind of migrating back down to the bottom now, as you can see. first real, I was getting ready to say, first real side-by-side positions a little further back, but just as I say that, Faircloth kind of ships it in on the bottom, was able to get alongside the 55 of Cody Atkins, but not quite able to carry the momentum. And now Ryan Gemmel in that 6 car, that opens the door for him to try to get around Keith Mayato and take that position away.
Yeah, and you were talking about how me and you race each other. When we do restarts, when you ask me, hey, when are you going to go in the box? I just tell you when I hit the gas. And that's definitely not what Bailey Turner or Eric Hutton's doing, as the battle between Ryan Gemmel and Dennis Faircloth is on.
Yeah, and something I'm curious to see here is Ryan Gemmel did come down pit road under that last caution, so he does have fresher tires than these drivers ahead of him here, putting them to good use right now. So if we end up getting that long green flag run that we keep kind of talking about and hoping for, this could play right into the hands of the 6 of Gemmel. Holy cow, what a save out of the 55 of Cody Atkins. I was getting ready to call the caution is out, but man, that was a hell of a job hanging on to that thing out of Cody.
Yeah, that was a great save from Cody Atkins. Just got a tad bit too much of the apron, kicked the rear end out, and was able to save it.
Yeah, really phenomenal driving out of him to be able to hang on to that one. We stay green, working lap 72 here. Dennis Faircloth had to do a little bit of driving there himself to hang on to that car. As you can see, some of these drivers starting to struggle with grip, but one driver that is not struggling with grip is that 6 of Ryan Gemmel. He has taken the 3rd position. Ray Massey, another driver that is on fresher tires as well. They have 40 laps less on their tires. Now, granted, some of those are under caution, but still probably about a 20 to 25 lap difference, just green flag laps for their tires. And you can see 2 drivers that were kind of behind on track position starting to make their way up through the field and getting ready to put some pressure on these 2 guys that have really been 1 and 2 all evening.
Yeah, and looking at the last lap times, Ryan Gemmel is running 2/10 faster than both Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner. Now Ryan Gemmel's able to get clear of 2nd place and take that from Brody Hayes. Now breathing down the neck of Bailey Turner, and he's closing that gap up in a hurry. And Ray Massey is following Ryan Gemmel to the front.
Yeah, and even the lap before with Gemmel making that pass for position, still running about even lap times to Bailey Turner. Last time by a 10th and a half faster was the 6 car. So he's got the tires, he's got the speed to get there, but it just seems like Bailey Turner in that fresh air is able to do just enough to kind of keep the 6 behind him. And really, what you're hoping for is just make him burn him up. But you can see there, the 24 got loose off of the turn and almost lost it. He was able to hang on to it. I thought Gemmel was going to be able to jump up on the high side and really take advantage of that. But for now, Bailey Turner able to hang on to the lead. But Ryan Gemmel is just absolutely breathing down his neck right now, putting the pressure on for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, and the top 6 drivers have broken away to a 2nd gap of 7th place of the 13 of Jake Monkey. And it's just really impressive to see what Bailey Turner's able to do with just clean air. And Daniel, I didn't think clean air would be that important at a short track, but Bailey Turner is proving me wrong here tonight.
Yeah, Bailey Turner showing just how important that clean air is with these ARCA cars. But one thing about it, we've talked about the custom setups. We've talked about the work that Cody and, the admin team have put into these setups. I got to say, if we were running the iRacing setups, I don't think that Ryan Gemmel, even with the tire advantage, would be able to follow as closely as he is. The cars tend to run a little bit tight anyway. They get a little bit aero tight when you're tucked up behind someone like that. I just feel like if we were running the iRacing setup, it may be a bit more of a struggle, but Ryan Gemmel, it just keeps looking to the inside. He is absolutely hounding that 24 of Bailey Turner. Let's take a look here on board with another bumper cam. This one, the 37 of Brody Hayes. And you can see just how tight the battle for position is between our top 3 right now.
Yeah, and it's basically like that all the way down to sixth position. And what I just noticed there in 3 and 4, Daniel, is Bailey Turner is really kicking it out that rear end of that 24 car through these corners. So putting a lot of wear on that right rear. So he's going to have a steep hill to climb to hold off the 6 of Ryan Gemmell.
Yeah, and the longer they go on this run, I would have to think that that tire advantage is going to play more to Ryan Gemmell's favor. Although, if he hangs back in this aero wake too long, it could end up causing the 6 of Gemmell to burn his tires up a little bit. But, man, he is so close. Is he thinking about using the bumper, maybe trying to pack a little bit of air? He's going to drive it down in on the bottom. Almost contact between the top two, but they come out clean on the other end. But Ryan Gemmell is there. As you can see, smoke in front of the leaders. Everybody able to get through, but it looked like maybe Bailey Turner checked up with the smoke on the back straightaway, just anticipating that maybe somebody had spun or maybe saw somebody sideways. But that is going to give the lead to the 6 of Ryan Gemmell. But our 2 championship leaders, they are now battling nose to tail for the number 2 spot.
Yeah, that's definitely what it looked like coming out of turn 2. Seeing that smoke and Rob Lidl on that apron off the racing surface. That's why the caution didn't come out. As now Brody Hayes is looking to the inside of Bailey Turner. Keep in mind, there's only a 4-point gap between these 2 drivers for the championship race, which is next week at Homestead. So be sure to tune in next week to figure out who will be crowned the champion of the BTDY Racing Series. But as of right now, this battling is just helping Ryan Gemmell pull away, even with his tire advantage.
Yeah, Ryan Gemmell doing a nice job just trying to check out, manage his tires right now. But the 37 now of Hayes, you know, we talked about how it seemed like the longer that the runs went on, it seemed like Brody Hayes was able to kind of catch that 24, reel him back in a little bit. That has proven to be the case here as we've run these laps under green. And actually, both of these drivers now starting to track the 6 of Gemmell back down. So even though, I mean, I really thought that with clean air, fresher tires, I thought Gemmell was gone. I thought he was just going to set sail and leave the rest of this field in his rearview mirror. But Brody Hayes is saying that he is having none of that. Hayes easily clears back to the lead, and Bailey Turner able to clear for second in the same turn.
Yeah, really interested to see how Ryan Gemmell fell back so fast. He had a 0.3 of a second lead over second place of Brody Hayes, and just within a lap, falling all the way back to that 3rd position, slotting in behind Bailey Turner. So something might be amiss on that 6 car here, Daniel.
Yeah, really curious. I mean, like I said, I thought once he got the lead in clean air, he was just going to set sail from these guys, but not the case. But up here at the front, our 2 championship contenders, our 2 championship leaders, rather, I should say, are now 1 and 2 as they were for the majority of the early stages of this race. But the roles are reversed. The 37 of Hayes, now your leader over the 24 of Bailey Turner. And it really seems like Bailey can close in, get up right to that back bumper, and then the 37 of Brody Hayes just kind of pulls away from him just ever so slightly. We've actually got, well, we had a battle for position going on here, but the caution flag is out, and that is the 55 of Cody Atkins bringing out the yellow flag here. Take a look on the VSPEED instant replay. See, he was up there. Yeah, he's just up there running that top groove. Back end starts to come around on him. Just kind of does that lazy spin. Not really a whole lot that he could do once it started to go around. And that is going to put us under yet another caution here this evening. It's also going to open up the pit window here as well. So we're on lap 101. That's going to open it up to where these drivers could, in theory, make it to the end on fuel. As you can see, everybody coming down pit road here for tires and fuel at this point.
Yeah, so tire management is definitely going to be key here. But also, Daniel, was Ryan Gimmel saving tires, as Brody Hayes is going to win the battle off of pit road. And as of now, it looks like Ryan Gimmel is going to be in second off of pit road, and Bailey Turner is going to be third driver off of pit road.
Yeah, indeed, you are correct. And actually, well, now that we say that, as they came off of pit road, the 24 goes back around the 6. So I think
am not
Bailey
correct.
Turner. Well, we're used to you not being correct, but that's okay. We'll let it slide this time. It looked like the 24 maybe just with having that number 1 pit stall beat him to the line, and then they just waited until they got over to the blend line to just kind of sort it all out from there. So just to give you a quick rundown of your top 10 as they currently run under this caution: Brody Hayes, your leader; Bailey Turner running in second; Ryan Gimmel, Ray Massey, Keith Mayato going to round out your top 5. Eric Hutton is in 6th, with Chris Samard currently running in the 7th position. Dallas Sullivan with the rebound up to 8th. Jake Bakke in 9th. Cody Atkins currently in 10th place. Also your last car on the lead lap as they currently run. We've got the 1 to green and getting close to the halfway mark here. For the first time this evening, Brody Hayes is going to be your control car on this restart.
Yeah, we got Brody Hayes on the bottom here with VSPEED teammates all the way to Chris Samard in 7th. So going to be really interested to see how this restart plays out.
Yeah, be interesting to see for sure how this does play out. Green flag is back in the air. Really nice jump for Brody Hayes. Bailey Turner did not get the restart he was looking for. First time that he's been in that position as the, we'll say the non-control car on the outside there. And that's going to put Ryan Gimmel to his inside, looking for that number 2 position. Turner, though, able to hang on to it. And I think you see everybody starting to migrate to the bottom of the track, trying to save just a little bit of tire. Of course, right as soon as I say that, Bailey Turner gonna make a liar out of me. He's going to the top, trying to get the lead from Brody Hayes.
Now you got Bailey Turner running that top line. Might do a crossover here going into turn 3. Thinks about it, decides better of it, slots in behind the 37, his championship rival of Brody Hayes, and just currently running into tire tracks, waiting for an opportunity to strike.
Yeah, really close racing between our top 2 right now. You can see there Bailey Turner right on the back bumper of that 37, just pushing for everything he can right now. But, you know, there is the possibility that we've seen our last pit stop for the race if they can make it to the end on fuel. So we've actually got a yellow flag out on the track right now. Looks like that is the 80 of Rob Liedl, believe, that brought out that yellow flag. Yeah, you can see there the 80 already around where we picked up our replay there. So both he and Alan Dice been involved in a couple of incidents here this evening. And let's see if there's maybe contact between the 2 of them. Let's take a look at this battle between the 80 and the 5 car here. No contact. 80 just kind of loops around on him, just kind of snaps out of nowhere. So the spin for the 80, and that is going to put us back under the caution here.
Yeah. That is the case here as we're almost to our halfway point in this race. You got the 37 still in the lead, with Bailey Turner still hot on his heels in the 2nd position.
Yeah, really good battle between these 2 throughout the evening. And it was really starting to heat up a little bit there. It kind of seems like it's almost a little bit of role reversal from what we've seen earlier, where Bailey Turner seemed like he had that long run speed, started putting some pressure on Brody Hayes. Right, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Brody Hayes had the long run speed and was putting the pressure on Bailey Turner, and now we're seeing it kind of the other way around.
That is definitely the case. But Ryan Gimmel was also putting a lot of pressure onto the 24 of Bailey Turner. And you never know, Daniel. It is the last Coliseum for a reason. So it's a battle of survival here tonight at Bristol.
It does seem to be a bit of a survival race to this point, but we just crossed the line to get to the halfway mark as we work this caution here this evening. Lights are out on the pace car, getting that one to green. We'll get ready to line them back up here for another restart.
Yeah, as of right now, Ryan Gimmel is behind him, and then Brody Hayes' two VSPEED teammates starting in the 4th and 6th position.
Lights are out on that pace car. Gonna be making the left back onto pit road here. As Brody Hayes leads them into that restart zone. Green flag in the air. Another good jump for our race leader. They're going to be side by side for second with Turner and Gimmel battling for position behind us. Man, that was a big slide from the 24 there off of turn number 2. Able to keep some momentum, though, as he tries to clear around Ryan Gimmel for second and able to get that position.
As of right now, the driver's starting to single file out throughout this whole pack, just trying to log some laps until we get closer to the finish to try to make their move. But Bailey Turner breathing down the neck of his championship rival, who's only 4 points ahead of him, looks to the inside, going into turn 3, side by side, coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, really good side-by-side battle here between your two championship leaders. The 37 of Hayes, the 24 of Turner. Turner not quite able to complete the pass. Hayes with the momentum up top. They're still side-by-side through 3 and 4. This has been the closest that Bailey Turner has been since losing the lead earlier. See if he gets close enough to maybe try the dive bomb, but momentum on the side of the 37. He's going to retain the lead.
Yeah, looking back at Iowa, which is probably the track that can kind of most resemble this, I know it drives a little bit different, but Bailey Turner was one of the only drivers I really saw push it into the corners out of everybody. So let's see if he can use his skills at Iowa here tonight at Bristol.
Yeah, definitely. You're 100% on that. Bailey Turner was able to kind of make some moves in that race that we didn't really see other drivers making. So be curious to see if he's able to kind of recapture some of that. Try to get up here and put the pressure on Brody Hayes for that race lead. A little bit further back behind us, though, see a pretty good battle starting up for that 4th position between Mayato and Ray Massey. Massey just kind of been right on the back bumper of the 36 of Mayato here for a couple laps now after this restart. So, you know, Massey used a little bit of that tire strategy earlier, coming down, putting tires on when others elected to stay out on a little bit older tires. But done a nice job once he's gotten that track position of being able to maintain that.
Yeah, he's definitely done a good job. Was all the way up to the 4th position with that tire advantage, following Ryan Gimmel through the pack and doing a really good job holding it on. Just trying to keep pace with Keith Mayato as of now, trying to save tires so he can strike later on.
Yeah, and for right now, most of the field kind of running single file at this point. This really about the closest battle that we've got. You can see there Ryan Gimmel starting to close in on the back of the 24 of Bailey Turner, but still not quite close enough to really make a big move with that. This pretty much the entire field right here. We've had some drivers, as you can see over there on our scoring pylon, that have run into some issues this evening. Pretty much everybody from Rob Liedl on back, actually Rob Liedl, excuse me, is still out on the track at this point. But everybody else, Faircloth, Robinson, Hahn, Loveland, and Blackwell with the DNFs. And, you know, one thing that's kind of wild to see with the 5 of Alan Dice now just 1 lap down. He was multiple laps down earlier in this race. fighting some damage on his car, but these cautions have given him the opportunity to basically to just about get back on the lead lap at this point. You know, Lucas, it kind of reminds me of a certain teammate of yours that was 6 laps down at Wilkesboro once and kind of did the same thing. So I don't know if I remember who that might have been or not.
Are you trying to say it's you? I'm gonna be honest, I seriously don't remember that.
That was the next gen race at North Wilkesboro we were running. I think I wrecked on like lap 4, went like 6 or 7 laps down, and ended up finishing lead lap in 4th because everybody wrecked on the last lap.
You know, it checks out.
Are you just gonna take my word for it? You don't remember nothing about it?
No, I try to block bad memories because I probably had a bad race that night.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't even remember if you ran that one now, to be honest. So I might be trying to get you to remember something that you weren't even a part of. But anyway, I digress. That kind of just put me in the mind of that with Alan up there trying to get those laps back, and just about back on the lead lap now. But Bailey Turner slowly but surely starting to catch back up to that 37 of Brody Hayes. It's not a lot. It's less than a half a tenth a lap right now that he's catching him by, but consistently is running just a little bit faster right now than that 37 car.
Yeah, small wins is better than breaking even, especially at such a short track. And so you see Ryan Gimmel really run hard going into turn 3, gains a little bit and gives it all up out of turn 4. So as of right now, all the drivers still single file and just logging laps and trying to see who will have the best car, trying to size up their opponent and when to start making their moves.
Yeah, and you know, one thing we talked about as we are under 100 laps to go here is we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the race with our race analysis, the fuel runs being about, you know, you could go 130 laps on fuel here. But one thing with Bristol is this place can be notoriously difficult on tires. So, you know, we look at the last lap of the pit, most of our leaders there at lap 102, that would put them where they would have to go about 120-ish green flag laps to make it to the end, right in that fuel window where that would not be a problem. The biggest question is if this race ends up running green to the end, and given that we only have 10 lead lap cars right now, I mean, that would be a distinct possibility. Can you make it to the end on tires? I mean, it almost kind of puts you in the mind of what we saw with real life Bristol in the next gen with just the absolutely absurd tire wear. I mean, it's definitely not to that extent, but I know I've run league races here, Lucas. I'm sure you have also, where we've seen drivers end the race with meatball flags because they basically just wear their tires down to nothing.
I might have done that a time or two.
I just might have. Surprised.
But it's to your point, Daniel. You make a really solid argument, and I do think pitting, if drivers try to stay out and make it, you will have that speed to be able to get back on the lead lap and pass him. The best lap for Bailey Turner was a 14.8. His last lap was a 15.3, almost a 15.4. So about a half a second, a little bit more, give or take. So half a second around here is a lot of time to give up on top people who have fresh tires. But also, Daniel, it's a longer pit road than what maybe me and you are used to. So it's really a double-edged sword, and especially if a caution comes out, you might be shooting yourself in the foot if you come down and get fresh tires.
Yeah, that is the big concern is if you can't make it on tires. You know, we talked about the single pit road versus the dual pit roads. And with the single pit road, you're going to lose quite a few laps. I don't think that no matter what the tire wear is, I don't think you would be able to pit and make up all of that time versus somebody that is able to kind of manage the tires and stay out for the duration of it. So it's definitely got to be something that's in the back of the mind of some of these drivers here as we get a little bit further into this race. Just how hard do you want to push? And one driver that it could potentially benefit if others are not able to make it to the end could be the driver that's currently the last car on the lead lap, and that is the 13 of Jake Maki. The reason I say that, he actually pitted later than the rest of the field. So, he pitted 10 laps later, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if we get to a point where these drivers are having to slow down or potentially come down pit road because they just can't make it to the end on tires, that extra 10 laps could end up making the difference for him if it gets to that point.
Yeah, and as of right now, yes, Jake Maki is running a little bit slower than the rest of the field, about a tenth of a second. But is Jake Maki saving tires to be sure to make it all the way to the end here on tires by itself and not playing the fuel strategy?
Yeah, that would definitely be in the back of my mind. I mean, I don't know exactly what the tire wear looks like. I haven't been able to drive this setup. So, I mean, it might be something that we're just kind of spitting in the wind here, and it might not even come into play, but just from what I've seen with other races at this track, it seems like you get to the end of the life cycle of the tires before you get to the end of the fuel tank. So a little bit of intrigue as we get to the closing stages of this race. Still got about 70 laps to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway, but could add an extra wrinkle into it. But two drivers that are battling for position right now. You can see that 6 of Ryan Gemmel holding on to the final podium position. You got the 36 of Keith Mayato trying to put a little bit of pressure on to get around him. And just a couple cars behind that, Chris Simard in the 77. We saw him involved in that one incident earlier. Nice recovery for him so far, back up into the 6th position.
Yeah, almost back up to where he started in 5th here tonight. Great recovery for Chris Simard. And you were talking about Ryan Gemmel. We saw him start trying to make moves on Ray Massey and Keith Mayato and was able to get around both of them to that 3rd position. So has Ryan Gemmel been able to save tires, run the bottom, and hopefully have enough tires to make the end of the races? Now Chris Simard is working on the back bumper of Ray Massey.
Yeah, really good battle. You see the 4 cars under a blanket there. Back behind them, another good side-by-side battle shaping up. And actually, I say a good side-by-side battle shaping up, but Eric Hutton makes quick work of it. He is going to go ahead and take that 7th position from Cody Atkins. Atkins staying close behind him, though, and not letting him get away, but Hutton up now to the 7th position.
Now, and one thing I'm curious about, Daniel, is what is the weather going to do to this setup as the lights came on here at Bristol? As of right now, air temp is 77 degrees Fahrenheit and the track temp is 84, so it's a really cold night here in Bristol, Tennessee for this race here. And we're starting to get that long green flag run. It's a battle between Keith Mayato and Ryan Gemmel starting to shape out. Keith Mayato able to get the spot on Ryan Gemmel, and now Ray Massey trying to get past the 6 of Ryan Gemmel.
Yeah, really good side-by-side battle here. As you can see there, Keith Mayato able to clear up into that number 3 position. Ray Massey able to follow through as well, so put Massey up into 4th, Gemmel back to 5th. And, you know, we've been talking about the tire wear. We've been talking about tire savings. So got to wonder if maybe Gemmel just went just a touch too hard earlier. And I mean, we even kind of saw that a little bit when he had the tire advantage. Got out to the lead and then lost the lead back a few laps later. So maybe just a little driving style difference, a little bit harder on the tires for Ryan Gemmel.
Now, and looking back up front, Bailey Turner had that gap closed almost to the rear bumper of Brody Hayes, but a lap car kind of interfered, was staying out of the way, and kind of impeded on the driving lanes for the leaders. Nothing to the lap car's fault. Did what they were supposed to do. I just don't think the leaders were kind of expecting where they were going to catch them at and just caught them at a bad point. And now that gap opened up a tenth, but now it's shrinking back down.
Yeah, and it seems like Bailey Turner will close in. Brody Hayes kind of turns it up just a little bit, matches lap times, maybe even pulls just a little bit of a gap back on the 24 of Bailey Turner. As you can see now, the gap back up to about 0.4 of a second between those two. And Chris Simard here making the pass now for that number 5 spot. Eric Hutton trying to get around Ryan Gemmel as well. So definitely seems like Gemmel is struggling with the handling of that race car as caution is out on the speedway. Believe that was the 46 of Dallas Sullivan involved here. And it looks like he's actually already found his way back to pit road. So taking a look on the VSPEED instant replay, Sullivan working around the lap car. That's his teammate there, Alan Dice. And yeah, gets up into that top groove. Oh, and really hard into the inside wall for Dallas Sullivan. So that is going to basically end his chances at a top finish here this evening. But that is going to open up the field to come down pit road. So take all that talk we had about can they make it to the end? Are the tires going to last? Take all that talk, ball it up, throw it out the window. That caution just went ahead and ended all of that talk.
Yeah, it really did, Daniel. And had a good green flag going for that long run that we had. But let's see what the drivers can do on the short run now and just see how they decide to make passes for these last 50 laps, if my math serves me right.
Are we trusting your math here, Lucas?
No, I failed math class.
You know, I would like to say that surprises me, but yeah, it doesn't. And I am at a loss for what just happened. Our top 2 drivers on the night, the 37 of Brody Hayes and the 24 of Bailey Turner, our 2 championship leaders, it appears, have just received black flags on the same pit stop as we approach 50 laps to go. I had to laugh, Lucas, and what kind of made me lose my train of thought here was I heard Brody Hayes, I believe it was, mic up on race comms, and I'm going to give the family-friendly version here of it, but I heard, "Are you kidding me?" as the family-friendly version of that. So talk about a game changer of a caution, throws all the strategy talk all out the window, throws all of that out the window, and more so than that, it takes our 2 fastest cars of the race and puts them at the tail end of this line with just 4 points separating them for a championship. So we are getting ready to shape up for more of that BTDY, I want to say instant classic that we've seen here over the last few weeks. You can see they're restarting in the 7th and 8th position, nose to tail inside lane as a result of what I would assume are speeding penalties on pit road there.
Yeah, and also Ray Massey got one as well. Used tire advantage to get up front, was able to hold that spot pretty well as we're back under green. Keith Mayato gets a great jump. Chris Simard not as good, but now Ryan Gemmel will go up to that 2nd position. VSPEED 1, 2, 3 with Eric Hutton in that 4th position.
And what I really want to see is that 37 to 24. This is the first time all evening that we've seen them really buried in lap traffic. I don't even want to say lap traffic. That's not even the case.
That's not
lead
nice.
Lap cars. Yeah, it's lead lap cars, but this is the first time that they've really, either one of them has been outside the top 3 this evening. So a lot more dirty air that they're having to deal with. And it's going to be a matter of who can navigate their way back up first and quickest between the 2 of them. As you can see, the 24, Bailey Turner, looking to the inside. Almost contact between the 2 of them. but they are nose to tail right now for the 5th and 6th positions, trying to work their way back up through this field.
Yeah, and as of right now, it looks like Bailey Turner is basically using Keith to make him burn his tires up, getting around this lap traffic. As ahead of him, Eric Hutton is looking to make a pass on the 77 of Chris Samard. Eric drifts up the track just a little bit, and that's going to allow the 37 of a Brody Hayes to reel in the 88 of Eric Hutton. But the Bailey Turner is not letting Brody Hayes go.
Yeah, Bailey Turner right there on the back bumper. Oh, and he gets into the wall off of turn number 4. Visually, it doesn't look like he has any damage from that, but that might have been a little bit too hard if you're trying to pull a Bristol bounce off of the exit there. Would be surprised if he doesn't have some kind of damage from that that may upset the balance of that car. It's a little bit further up in front of these two. That is Eric Hutton looking to the outside of Chris Samard in that 77 there. 88 of Hutton up top, trying to take away that final podium position, trying to break up the VSPEED party up there. He's going to be able to do so and clear for 3rd place.
Now Eric Hutton's going to have to work on the 6 of Ryan Gimmel, just trying to work up to him right now and then try to make his move later on. But he's also still going to have to defend from Chris Samard in the 77. But behind Chris, the 37 and the 24 are still duking it out.
Yeah, these two know that every point is crucial as they come down to that final race next week at Homestead. Just a 4-point gap coming into this one. They know that they have got to battle for every position. And right now, the 24 just trying to find a way around on the bottom. Looks like he's the faster car at the moment, but that 37 of Brody Hayes just able to carry enough momentum off the top to play defense. This is what can make Bristol such a frustrating track at times. You know you're faster, you know you've got the ability to do it, but just the difference in line, as you can see, Hayes, or I'm sorry, that was Turner in the 24, close right in on the back bumper. Maybe thought about giving him a little, hey, how you doing there in the middle of the turn. Didn't quite make contact with him, and he's going to try to look to the top side to see if he can build that momentum back up and get that run to take the position away.
Now, speaking of, hey, how are you doing? I gave you a bunch of those when me and you used to race together, but now Eric Hutton and Ryan Gimmel side by side for 2nd position right now. I couldn't get that word out of my mouth, but Eric Hutton looking to the inside, Ryan Gimmel running the top lane, and as of right now, both hanging on pretty even between the two. Ryan using that top lane to his advantage on the straightaways, but Eric Hutton getting a really nice sitter in the corners and is able to clear Ryan Gimmel. Looking further back, Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner are literally not giving any driver an inch because of how tight those points are right now.
Yeah, and I honestly thought that maybe Chris Samard in the 77 would cut his teammate Brody Hayes a little bit of a break. They were side by side for position with Samard running that top groove. Hayes was not able to complete the pass, and that actually allowed the 24 of Bailey Turner to get around for the 5th position. So, again, I thought that maybe Samard would say, hey, that's my teammate. He's racing for a championship. Cut him a little bit of a break here. But Chris Samard also still in the points hunt, although does need a little bit of help. But he's not willing to give up that position. And honestly, I can't say I blame him. You're out there trying to run your race as well, and you're still out there with a mathematical chance at the championship. You got to do what you can to keep every spot that you can and try to get yourself back up there. But Bailey Turner in the 24 now back ahead of his main championship rival, Brody Hayes. But Hayes is right there in his hip pocket, looking to the inside, trying to find a way around. And I have a feeling we might see the elbows out before the end of this one.
Yeah, the elbows are definitely out for both of these drivers. In particular, as of right now, Bailey Turner and Brody Hayes starting to fall back from Chris Samard as of this moment in this run. maybe they burnt their stuff up a little bit too soon, racing each other a little bit too hard instead of just trying to take care of the tires and use the tire advantage later on to run that top line to get around their championship rival. And it just seems like Brody Hayes has nowhere to go. Did see him use his bumper to Bailey Turner a few times, not too egregiously, but just a few taps saying, hey, I'm still here. You better keep your eyes forward, or I'm going to take the opportunity to try to make that pass to get that point that I desperately need. To, even if it's a single point, Daniel, a point matters when the championship battle is this tight between two drivers.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, you know, a championship could come down to even a tie. I mean, and if it does, I'm not 100% sure what the tiebreaker would be, but I would have to think it would come down to wins on the season if that is the case, or maybe wins in the chase. We'll have to, I think we might need to have that queued up for next week to figure out exactly what that tiebreaker would be. But if you're either one of these drivers, you don't want to have to worry about it. You don't want to leave it to a tiebreak. Just let me go out, win it outright, and we just go ahead and stop all the talk right then and there. Brody Hayes still trying to find a way around that 24. And I mean, he has been, I don't want to say wearing out the back bumper because he hasn't been making contact, but man, he is definitely keeping the mirrors full on that 24 car.
Yeah, he's basically just a dog sniffing out his prey right now. With just saying right, basically glued to his rear bumper. If you see Bailey Turner gets loose, that's going to open up the door to Brody Hayes. Contact is made, door banging down the backstretch. And then Brody Hayes gets loose. Still loose.
That was a lot of contact, a lot of elbows out between our two championship leaders. And now the 55 of Cody Atkins looking to the inside of Brody Hayes. It looks like he may have bigger problems on that car. That 37 is struggling, and actually I think I just heard him say on race comps that he actually has wheel damage after that. Not showing a meatball flag, so not going to have to worry about coming down pit road and getting it fixed before the end of the race as far as being able to make it to the end. But you can see that 37 car is hurting right now. He has already lost spots to Cody Atkins, Ray Massey. He's got Jake Maki right there behind him. Maki going to try to look to the inside, and these are all valuable points that the 37 of Brody Hayes is seeing slip away. He already came in at the deficit for this championship battle, and it appears as of right now, as we approach less than 20 laps to go, closing in on 15 laps to go, that gap is going to widen after this race.
Daniel, I just have one question for you. Was what he said over race comms, was it PG or was it rated R?
You know, to be honest, I didn't hear all of it. I just heard him say wheel damage. But let's just suffice to say, there may be a little bit of beef between driver 37 and 24 after that. I don't think they exactly saw eye to eye on what happened with that contact. So an extra little wrinkle as we head to Homestead next week to see how that plays out. But for now, we still have a little over 10 laps to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Keith Mayato, he has checked out for the lead. He's got about a 3.5 tenths over the 88 of Eric Hutton, but Hutton still pretty well matched him on lap time. I mean, these two guys have been trading laps back and forth, running really similar, really consistent between the two of them. So Hutton is right there. I mean, we've seen these cars be really loose, be really hard to drive, and Hutton is there if that 36 of Mayato makes any kind of mistake at all to try to take advantage.
Well, you can also see both of these drivers are running a different line as well. You got Eric Hutton really wrapping the bottom, and of course, as soon as I say that, Keith Mayato starts running the bottom, makes a liar out of me, but there we go. You see Keith Mayato running that middle line, and then you got Eric Hutton running the bottom. So Hutton might be trying to save his tires to try to get up to Keith Mayato and then be able to use his tires that he saved, even though it's a little bit, to get around Keith and Daniel. Going back to Bailey Turner and Keith and Brody Hayes, the one time I don't bring up Charlotte, something actually happens. When you look back at Charlotte, Bailey Turner got the short end of the stick between contact between Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner, and now with contact between both of the drivers, now Brody Hayes is getting that short end of the stick, and he was already in a 4-point deficit. As of right now, you would add 8 more. Well, he would be at an 8-point disadvantage to Bailey Turner. So if he has any chance to win next week, if it's the same size, he's going to have to finish 8 spots ahead of Bailey Turner. And Bailey Turner is fast. So he's probably going to have to go out and win the race next week.
Yeah, he has definitely got his work cut out for him as we hit 5 laps to go. 4 laps to go now at the line. They click off in a hurry here at Bristol Motor Speedway. 4 laps. We've only got about 60 seconds of racing left here this evening. We're going to keep an eye on this battle for the lead between Eric Hutton and Keith Maiato. 3 laps to go now. Maiato still running pretty even lap times, although the 88 of Eric Hutton was about a half a tenth faster that last lap, just not quite close enough to be able to do anything with it yet. Although Hutton does close in a little bit more. He's got that gap under 0.3 of a second as they approach 2 to go here. But just as I say that, it looks like Hutton lost some momentum on corner exit, just not quite able to keep close to him. The 36 of Keith Maiato takes the 1 to go. We're on the last lap here at Bristol Motor Speedway, trying to hang on and bring home yet another win on the season. The 36 of Keith Maiato is going to hang on, starts 4th, leads 53 laps, and he is your winner here this evening at Bristol.
Yeah, definitely a great use of using the downfall of his teammate in Bailey Turner to come out on top for Keith Maiato, as he's going to burn it down on the front straightaway.
Yeah, definitely another solid run for Keith Maiato. You know, he had to miss a couple of races in this championship battle, which is honestly unfortunate. That would be his 5th win. That is his 5th win on the season. And I can't help but feel like if he could have made all of the races, that would have, it would have been a 3-driver battle, really. It would have been Maiato up there with Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner battling for this championship. But the 36 already done kind of an abbreviated celebration there. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Let you hear from our great league sponsors one final time. We'll be back here at Bristol to give you your full race rundown, as well as hear from our top 3 finishers.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
We've been around since 1946, originated as a scrap yard, and evolved into a full-on steel service center, buying and selling new steel products of light fabrication, such as cutting, shearing, bending, threading. We also run a wholesale pipe, valve, and fitting plumbing division, as well as a retail showroom outlet. And then we also are a full-on structural steel fabricator, which is the skeletal steel that you see in commercial and residential structures. We sell to a wide variety of contractors, plumbers, maintenance type personnel, underground utility companies. We sell anything from single nuts and bolts to like a typical hardware store type of feel, one fitting, to full semi-loads of pipes. We're a little deeper in our inventory, and we actually have maybe a little more specialized type of fittings and such. Stock quite a diverse inventory, so we try to keep everything here to keep you guys going.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Welcome back for our post-race show here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our race results here to show you where your favorite driver finished this evening in a race that kind of saw our championship battle get turned up a little bit between our top two contenders. Keith Maiato coming home with the win this evening over Eric Hutton, finishing in second. Ryan Gemmell going to round out the podium in that number 3 spot, with Chris Simard and Bailey Turner rounding out the top 5. Cody Atkins, with a really strong recovery from his earlier spin, comes home in the 6th position. Ray Massey comes home in 7th. Jake Mackey in 8th. Brody Hayes, got to be disappointing for him, coming home in 9th after a really strong run. The contact that we saw, the wheel damage, all of it combined together. Rounding out your top 10 is going to be the 46 of Dallas Sullivan.
Finishing in 11th, you had the 5 of Alan Dice. Finishing in the 12th position, you have the 80 of Rob Liedel. 13th, the 83 of Dennis Faircloth. And finishing in the 14th position, who had a really rough night here tonight, the 29 of Michael Robinson. The 25 of Paul Hahn, finishing in 15th. In 16th position, you have James Loveland in the 02, and rounding out our 17-car field here tonight, the 15 of Christian Blackwell.
That is your full race results, but let's go ahead and get a word from our top 3 finishers. Starting off with our race winner here this evening, Keith Maiato. Keith, this is Daniel Lucas up in the booth. You got us?
I got you.
Well, man, great job coming home with the win tonight. I know it was kind of weird circumstances with how it worked out there. I got to ask, first and foremost, what was going through your mind after that last pit stop when you saw Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner both drop into the back there?
I was shocked at first. I knew Brody got a speeding penalty, and then when I heard that Bailey got it, I was like, like, what are the chances? You know, top 2 in the points, top 2 in the race. Not that I knew it was like a, a sure win after the fact, but I knew I didn't have to drive way more aggressive and try to keep up with them because they were very good on the short runs. So yeah, no, I was shocked because those are mistakes that usually don't happen with those two guys.
Earlier in the race, we saw you basically run behind them. What all were you able to learn that you were able to implement to keep Eric Hutton behind you with that gap of around 3/10? We saw it close a little bit, and you were able to pull back out. Were you able to learn anything behind Billy Turner and Brody Hayes throughout the race here tonight that you were able to use against Eric Hutton?
Maybe just protecting the high side more than anything else. I was just pretty much trying to save the right rear on the previous runs, because if you were really aggressive, it would start snapping loose in 1 and 2. So I knew if Eric did get to me, I was just gonna give him the inside. I was gonna protect the outside as much as I can, because it seemed like whoever was on the outside was able to hold off that attack.
Well, really strong run tonight. Win number 5 on the season. I mentioned it during the broadcast too, just on a kind of side note here, is that, I know you had to miss a race or two, maybe even more than that during the chase here, which I know it's got to be disappointing, because I feel like if you would have made all of them, you would have been right in the thick of this championship battle. You've been up there running up front all season, but regardless, 5 wins on the season with the competition over here, definitely something to be proud of as we get down to the end of it. But before we let you go this evening, who you want to thank, any sponsors or shout outs?
Yeah, I'd like to thank KULLY Pipe and Steel Supply for sponsoring the race tonight. Brody and Bailey for speeding up Hill Road is a good one, and everyone, all my teammates. Yeah, we it was fun, even though it didn't look like it was that much fun out there. It was a tight battle between like 6, 7 cars, so it was a good night.
And I got to appreciate the tongue in cheek comment there, because that is 100% something that I would say to Lucas when we're racing. Like, hey, thanks for speeding on pit road and let me win. I appreciate that. But
Can you
yeah, really
confirm?
strong run tonight. I've probably said stuff like that to him before, but yeah, really strong run tonight. Congrats again on the win. We'll see you next week at Homestead.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
That is your race winner, Keith Mayato. And Lucas, you are standing by with our second place finisher tonight, Eric Hutton.
Hey, how's it going?
Eric, this is Lucas up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, gotcha.
So, with that last caution that came out, and you saw both Brody Hayes and Bailey Turner get that black flag, and then you had to chase down Keith Mahato. Was there anything you could have done differently to be able to run him down, or is there anything that was still left in the tank, or something that you could have done differently to be able to catch up to him?
Yeah, maybe just saving the tires a little more. I don't know. It was tough. Tough trying to find a balance. Of saving or pushing. So I think we both probably did the exact same thing, and that's why we're putting down basically the same laps. So I gained a little bit on him there at the end, but it seems like I'd gain a little, and he'd gain a little. So we were just pretty even.
Well, we saw that you kind of had that really strong run. I asked this same question to Keith here, and I'm curious to see what your reaction is to. You're coming off pit road for that last caution. The two guys that have been 1 and 2 pretty much the entire night get speeding penalties on the same caution. What's going through your mind? Do you feel like it's kind of your golden opportunity that you can take advantage of it and steal a win, or are you just thinking, what the hell are these two guys doing up here?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited. I felt like they were definitely the best two. So I kind of figured they'd get back through the field, but I think they ended up hitting each other a little bit, which probably stopped that. So definitely good for me. I don't think I had second place speed, but I was up there. So yeah, I'll take it.
Well, really solid run. Good to see you back up on the podium yet again. You've had a lot of solid runs here the last few weeks in this league. Before we let you go, who you want to thank, any sponsors or shout outs?
Yeah, just appreciate everybody putting on the league. Teammate Bailey. Um, been fun, so glad to do one more.
All right. Well, congrats again on the P2. We'll see you at Homestead.
See you then. Appreciate it.
That's your second place finisher, Eric Hutton. Go ahead and grab a word with our third place finisher, Ryan Gemmel. This is Daniel Lucas up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, really solid run tonight coming home in that final podium position. Early on there, we saw you, use a little bit of tire strategy coming in and getting the fresh tires when others opted to stay out. And you got the lead. I honestly thought you were going to set sail and kiss the rest of the field goodbye. Was it just were you trying to tire save and maybe just went a little bit too far with it? Or was it kind of the opposite that you burned it up a little bit, just trying to get up there?
No, I definitely burnt the right rear off of it, trying to get up to the front guys. And by the time I got up to Bailey and raced side by side with him for what felt like 10 or 15 laps, I'm sure it was probably like 3 or 4, but it felt like a long time. Yeah, I just burnt the right rear off of it. And by the time I got by him, it was undrivable. I don't know if the being a little bit of dirty air helped it kind of stay a little more secure. And as soon as I got into fresh air, it's like it turned too good through the center and I was really free in. I don't know. It was kind of strange, but yeah, all in all, I mean, I'll take a third place. It was definitely way better than I felt like I deserved out there tonight. I just didn't really feel like I had very good pace all night long. So, but it is what it is. I'll take it.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that you felt like you didn't really have the best pace all night long. Do you feel like there was kind of one area more so than others that you were struggling in when you were racing around the guys that were kind of the class of the field, so to speak, or was it just a little bit of everything?
I really don't know, man. I'd say center off, later in a run, just trying to keep driving the car was just I struggled really bad with it. And as soon as you start heating that right rear up enough, then it turns into a free in situation too. So these cars kind of drive a little funny in here in iRacing. So it's like, I don't know, it's way different than the Xfinity car from last season or even the Cup car. It just has a really weird feel to it when it's free. And normally Bristol's, I feel like, one of my better tracks. I was actually really looking forward to it tonight. And then really all through practice and qualifying and the race, I just felt off. I just didn't really have the pace to compete for the win. So, but you'll have that, I guess. So.
Well, really good job of maximizing the evening, getting up there on that podium spot. Before we let you go this evening, anybody you want to thank or shout out for it?
Yeah, shout out to Florida Skin Doctor for being on the hood each week and being on the series each week and helping us out and helping us put on these shows. I want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast, KULLY Pipe and Steel for sponsoring the race, and my VSPEED teammates and everyone that came out to watch.
All right, well, there you have it. Congrats again on the podium. We will see you next week at Homestead.
Thank you.
And that was our third place finisher, Ryan Gemmel. And that's going to do it for our post-race coverage here this evening from Bristol Motor Speedway. Next week, though, we are heading to what should shape up to be a really awesome finale. Homestead Miami Speedway, really great track, multi-groove. Going to see a lot of what we've seen throughout this entire season here in the FloridaSkinDoctor.com Racing Series. We are going to have a champion to crown as we hit that finale next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be bringing you all the action right here on VSPEED. But folks, that is going to do it for our coverage here this evening. So on behalf of all the admins here at BTDY, for Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper at VSPEED, my producer and co-commentator up here in the booth, Lucas Lyons, and these camera angles that we have courtesy of Dougie Beard. My name's Daniel Cunningham, saying thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Tuesday evening with us. And next week, we will see you for some championship racing at Homestead.